right, Jose, it's finally over. The 4-game losing streak is finally over thanks to an outstanding performance by, should we call him Jimmy Wills or Jimmy G6? We had a mobile quarterback out there today. 2 rushing touchdowns, 322 yards. Yeah, a lot of that came on that 80-yard breakaway screen by Deebo Samuel, but it's finally over. We used to beat the Bears, so that's something. Looked kind of ugly early on. It was kind of a messy game early on for us. A lot of drops, a lot of penalties. We could get into some of the bad with the defense later, but just lament with me here. Just let it out. How are you feeling after that win there?
This is the National Football League, and winning games in this league is not an easy thing to do. Like we've seen the entire month of October, basically for us. The past 4 weeks have been absolutely brutal, loss after loss after loss. Well, finally, it was good to see a victory. It was good to see both sides of the ball playing really well at times, right? It was that first in that first half, it was really the defense, holding them to field goals. They had that 1 touchdown drive, but the game was still in reach, and then the offense just completely took over there in the second half. You mentioned Jimmy Garoppolo making crucial play after crucial play, and that's the kind of game that we expect from him, right? It's been kind of a lackluster start, to say the least, for him, but those are the types of plays that we expect him to make a day in, day out. Like, we know he's not going to be an Aaron Rodgers or any of these high-end quarterbacks, but those are the types of plays we need. That right there. If he could just provide that for this team could go a long way. It was good to finally get, our 3rd win. And, Chicago, they're stuck at 3 wins. Atlanta just lost, stuck at 3 wins. Minnesota stuck at 3 wins. They're right now in the NFC. There's, the main 5 will probably look as about a lock as possible to make it into the postseason. But then you still have those other 2 spots. And guess who's right in those other 2 spots? It's going to be the Niners. We're going to be right in there. Obviously, we're going to talk about what's coming up ahead in a couple of weeks, but let's just talk about a little bit more about what happened today. That was such a good win, I thought.
Okay, let's talk about kind of the bad there real quick. You mentioned the defense. They held up okay. They allowed more field goals than they allowed touchdowns there in the first half. I still wasn't impressed by the defense as a whole. Just how able the Bears were to drive on them, I found a little concerning. You could say they were bend, don't break type of defense today. But whenever they broke, I mean, it looked ugly. It's just, 3rd downs, defensive holding penalties, all the same shit we've been saying the last few weeks. It just happened to be against a worse team in the Chicago Bears, so we were able to get away with it. And I think that's part of the problem. When we face these better teams, we still have these just bonehead penalties. And thankfully, you would say Chicago didn't really do some of the things that were burning us against the Colts. They weren't really trying to push the ball deep, see if they could draw some of those DPI calls that we were getting early on, take advantage of the fact you had a rookie safety out there in his first start, and Talanoa Hufanga. They should really took an opportunity to push the pedal to the metal there. They didn't, thankfully. I mean, again, if you've been following him in fantasy football, Allen Robinson's been a ghost all year. Darnell Mooney was the only real deep threat that they used in the game. So I think that was more a credit to the Bears' limitations. And then there was that embarrassing Justin Fields touchdown later on, where I'm just going to say it, man. Eric Armstead, his contract, he's a bust, man. He's a bust right now on this current deal, because that one, he was right there to make the tackle. Should have just been there, done, wrap up, over. I don't think he even has a sack on the year at this point. I think the only one who's really been pushing anything on defensively has been Nick Bosa. And credit to Nick Bosa, he's out there hustling. But no one else's presence do I really feel during the game, unless they're making a bad penalty deep in the secondary. That's the only time I feel someone's presence out there. I mean, Fred Warner, I can't say anything bad about Fred, but, he just hasn't had that splash play this year. So, again, I was just lacking that big play there. Again, too, Josh Norman's the only one forcing turnovers. Josh Norman gets the late pick here to end the game, and then he actually has a forced fumble that, of course, just rolls back to the guy, because that's another thing. We just keep getting these bad bounces on these fumbles. They just keep bouncing right back to the guy. There was also the Khalil Herbert one that went right back to him as well. Just the most frustrating thing watching the defense out there today. I mean, the time and possession disparity, I think, is something that you have to note. Let's get back into the good, though. I will say, Elijah Mitchell out there, Huge day by the rookie. I really love what I'm seeing from Elijah. Does make me a little concerned for Trey, considering we traded up in the 3rd round to get him and he can't even see a snap. But as long as Elijah Mitchell keeps running like this, Trey can sit on the bench. I don't care.
Yeah.
That is just what it is. We do get Jeff Wilson Jr. back here in about a month, so we'll see how that kind of shifts around the backfield. I'm sure they'll like to split carries on those 2 guys as well to keep everyone healthy back there. Brandon Aiyuk, we saw a sighting of him today.
Yep.
Brandon Aiyuk was very involved in the game plan, and I don't think it's a coincidence that that's the best offensive performance we've had all season there, practically, aside from, I guess, the Lions game. That Brandon Aiyuk being involved in the offense was good for our offense. Deebo Samuel was huge. Deebo Samuel, the team MVP at this point. It was just, like all the guys in the East showed up. They were talking on the broadcast too. Maybe George Kittle might be ready potentially for the Arizona game. So that's something to keep an eye on. Any of those things really that I mentioned really stood out for you that you want to touch on a little bit more?
Definitely the Brandon Aiyuk aspect of it, right? This was his biggest game of the year. And you mentioned this was the biggest offensive performance of the year. I mean, Philadelphia just put up 41 on Detroit. So I don't give too much credit for that offensive performance against Detroit. But I think, like you said, it's not a coincidence. You're right. When you get your playmakers involved, you're going to have better success on offense. You're going to open up other things. And also that offensive line was huge. We were missing Trent Williams last week, which I think now seeing what he was able to do today, he is just a huge aspect as to what this team could do. Those runs that we have towards the left side of the line, it's a gaping hole every single time for Elijah Mitchell or JaMychal Hasty, whoever is carrying the ball. It is just a gaping hole. And when you have a guy like also Kyle Juszczyk out there providing blocks down the field, I mean, that's Niner football right there. That's really what was the recipe of success in that 2019 season. If we all remember, the running game was almost unstoppable in some weeks. And that's what it felt like, especially in that second half when we were starting to put the game away, when we got that late lead. And you just saw gaping hole after gaping hole. And who was in front of that? It was always Trent Williams, just providing these huge key blocks that is really, you don't really see that much around the league. When you think of left tackles around the league, it's mainly to protect the blind side of the quarterback. For us, it's almost the opposite. It's more to get the running game going. And when our running game gets going, that just opens up the rest of the offense. We also need to talk a little bit about Kyle Shanahan. I think he called an absolutely great game. He's been taking a lot of slack this past month, even from us. We've been kind of questioning his future with the team. But today he was spot on. He mixed it with a bunch of, it wasn't even play action either. The type of big plays that we were seeing, it was a lot of empty sets. And whenever we needed to run the ball, we ran the ball successfully. So credit to the coaching staff, credit to Jimmy Garoppolo for, going back home and where he got his first ever win as a starter for the 49ers. He gets this huge win for us again this week. But yeah, I thought overall, I'm not going to complain about an 11-point win in the NFL. That's for sure.
There is some on Niners Twitter that will. There is some on Niners
Twitter that will.
I think Grant Cohen is already complaining on Niners Twitter already that Jimmy had a good day, but is what it is. Very on brand. Looking ahead, though, you mentioned it, we got to look ahead. Arizona Cardinals coming up. So last game we played them, we lost by a touchdown. Niners may catch a little bit of a break here because apparently Kyler Murray is coming into this game with an ankle sprain. Now, the severity of this ankle sprain, I know not. But what I will tell you is, Niners fans, just remember what happened to Jimmy Garoppolo just a season ago with a high ankle sprain. Consider the type of quarterback that Kyler Murray is, that mobile threat. If anything with a guy's legs when he's mobile, it's not something you like to hear as a Cardinals fan. And then we got the Rams on Monday Night Football. So we have a tough 2-week stretch. We're 3-4 now. Honestly, at this point, just because we put ourselves behind the 8 ball, I think we almost have to go 2-0 in this stretch, even against a Rams team on Monday Night Football. I know that that's for some going to sound a little hyperbolic, but no, I think every game from this point on is a must win. You can't drop a game to the Jaguars. You can't drop a game to the Texans, the Titans. No, you pretty much have to win, I would say 75 to 80% of your games, just given how bad of a season start you had. Does this performance give me more confidence in them that they have the ability to do that? I see you shaking your head, but actually, I'm going to say no. I'm still on a no, because beating the Bears and also not looking that great defensively against the Bears, I'm still tentative to trust them to be able to stop what I saw for the Rams today. You talked about the Rams, putting up like 41 against the Texans too, 38-0 that game was at one point. I don't know if it got much better for the Texans after that. Do I know they can stop the Cardinals? Well, I have seen it before. And it's certainly if the Cardinals are limited or have to throw in a backup quarterback, sure, then the expectation should be you win that game. But I'm still hesitant to jump back in that water given what I saw. We are still coming off a 4-game losing streak, and we had to do it against the league's 30th ranked offense that we didn't even look that great stopping.
I'm just happy about the win. I'm still just so happy about the win that I'm just like, we're beating Arizona, we're beating Los Angeles, we're beating Seattle, we're beating everybody the rest of the way. All right.
I guess I have to be that stormy cloud that's just raining on everyone's parade here.
And you're probably right. You're probably right that it is kind of worrying that we looked, that defenseless against Justin Fields, who looked like he wasn't even an NFL quarterback before this week. So I get the doubt. But I mean, whenever you could get a win, you'll take them.
If we could carry this offense into the next few weeks, I think that's going to be the key. This offense, we haven't seen this type of performance all season. Next week, I would like to see a little bit more play action worked into the game plan, because that's obviously the Niners' bread and butter. But I'll take the wins when I get them. So Niners faithful, comment below what you thought of today's performance. Is it a sign of things to come? Are you, like me, still kind of like hesitant to jump fully on the bandwagon, put your full foot in the water? Let us know in the comments. Leave a like on this video. Helps us get out there to more Niners fans like you, more Niners faithful. Subscribe, of course. Also helps the channel. Big way. 49 Reasons to Listen. 2 right here. Juju Talk Sports. Jose Corral. We will see you next time.